Thank you. Welcome to Baat Pachisi. On Baat Pachisi, we are today trying to discuss what is happening in the politics of Tamil Nadu, especially after emergence of K. Annamalai, who was basically a mechanical engineer, MBA turned police officer, an IPS police officer who was in a Karnataka cadre, and then he left the job and joined Bharatiya Janata Party, and he is, according to many Tamilians who've been looking at the political landscape of Tamil Nadu, kind of politics Tamil Nadu had. So he is basically a totally a different personality, and there is a possibility of fundamental change in the Tamil politics over a period of time, not immediately, but its effects are being felt. To discuss Tamil Nadu politics, how Tamil Nadu politics has been in the past and how they have been practicing, what kind of beliefs and what kind of narrative they have been selling, and how it is that such an educated, industrialized, forward looking state with a deep and rich ancient cultural background and heritage have been able to have the kind of politicians for such a long time. So, to discuss that, we have a friend and a very knowledgeable person who's been a former student of uh, Jawaharlal Nehru University, and from there on, he went to become a banker, starting his career with State Bank of India, then going to Reserve Bank of India, then doing MBA, and then he has been a part of Federal Bank in USA. So let's welcome Mr. Ram Ramkumar. Welcome, Ram Ramkumar ji. How are you doing? And that is you have been looking at the kind of politics which has been happening in your state, and you come from a political family. So starting from that, and can you tell us that what is the root cause and what is happening with the uh, pathological hatred for Brahmins in Tamil Nadu and their politicians? Mr. Ramkumar, welcome to Baat Pachisi. Uh, yes, sir.
Thank you, Madhav Singh ji. It's nice of you to invite me on your show. Firstly, a small correction. In the US, I was the Federal Reserve Bank, not the
Yes,
Federal
for the
Bank.
reason.
The Federal Bank is in Kerala.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it's a small bank.
Yeah,
But
yes,
anyway,
yes. Yeah.
no, many people think that. Anyway, that's a small thing. Yes, the so where would you like me to start?
So kind of
First thing.
anti-Brahmanism, and then first, the political background you have, so you have a special window to so many things happening in politics.
Okay.
So you can
The
take it.
the topic of the evening, as I understand it, is Annamalai, basically,
Yeah,
fundamentally,
basically
and
Annamalai.
how he could be a transformational figure in Tamil Nadu politics. To understand that, yes, I agree that he could be, and so far he has shown that he has begun to be the kind of transformational figure that is needed in Tamil Nadu. Um, that is mainly because Tamil Nadu politics for 50 years, since 67 when the Congress were lost power for the first time and the DMK came to power, it has basically been the DMK and related, the Dravidian party ecosystem which has ruled the roost in Tamil Nadu. And for the past 50 years, except one time in 2016, power has been alternatively held by the DMK or the ADMK, which again, every politician of those two parties, whoever is in power, on all the way down up to the booth level, are from the same ecosystem, the Dravidian ecosystem, which is the DMK used to come to power. So if the DMK is in power, it is just DMK, the former DMK people with a new name tag. That is all, except for uh, the leader at the very top. MGR was one, and Jayalalitha obviously was another. They were different. They tried to break away from the stranglehold of Dravidian ideology. Jayalalitha never believed in it. She first of all she was a Brahmin, but she and MGR who broke away from that and started you know removing himself from that ecosystem. Both of them tried hard to to break away the system, but again, since they relied on the party up to the booth level for the same kind from on the same kind of people, they could only do so much. So the party, so there's the same thinking, the same philosophy which has ruled Tamil Nadu for the past 50 years. And how do you relate it to the anti-Brahmin movement? Because in 1967 the Congress was defeated. What the proximate cause or the immediate cause was, in large part, the 1965 Hindi agitation, which was a stupid thing that I think still even today North Indian politicians don't realize how stupid they are trying to force Hindi down Tamil Nadu or anyone's throats. Then they tried it in 65. The anti-Hindi feeling there has been since 1920, and it's a very potent weapon that they use. So the DMK used it in 65 and statewide agitation to the extent that the army was called out in some rural parts of Tamil Nadu, not in the cities. So that is how bad it was. And the aftermath of that was what brought the DMK to power for the first time. And the DMK has always been their basic ideology was so-called social justice, which essentially translated in everyday language and actions as anti-Brahmanism. Just to use as a metaphor, not literally, kill the Brahmins, even though Periyar actually said all Brahmins need to be killed. Uh, but there, like everything, no matter what it was the Brahmins who are guilty. Well, give me 1 second. And the anti-Brahmin, they use it as a surrogate thing for anti-Hindi, anti-North, anti-Sanskrit, anti-India. All that and anti-Brahmanism, this kind of all were treated as co-equal. Yeah, go ahead.
So, as far as most of us in North understand, that this fellow, Periyar, he was called, the Periyar means the purified or something, Pius or something like that. So he was himself was a Brahmin.
No, no, no.
Am I right?
No, he
No.
wasn't. Firstly, Periyar doesn't mean Periyar means a respected person, elder
First.
person. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
so that's all it means. And anyway, we'll call him Ramaswamy. He doesn't deserve that thing.
Ramaswamy, Ramaswamy, yes.
Ramaswamy was a congressman. He was a devoted congressman to begin with, which you perhaps know. And he was from a rich family. He was not a Brahmin. He was a Nayakar, which is again, I don't know where it falls in the caste hierarchy, but it is somewhere on the top. It's not the
Okay.
OBC or anything like that. He was a very rich landlord, only about 10 kilometers from my hometown. And my father knew him very well. He's been to my house. So he started out. He was a very rich man and a very, he um, he along with okay, the reason for his anti-Brahmanism and how the genesis of why he wanted to take it on as a movement is supposedly because they say that somewhere he went somewhere Varanasi, some congress something, and they are arranged for lunch for everybody. All the Brahmins are in one room. They said, if you're non-Brahmin, you go and eat with that crowd. So he was scandalized, supposedly. And he said this should stop. This kind of nonsense casting should stop. I don't know how far it is true and whether that was the only thing. Because otherwise, it's very much part of the rich ecosystem, the rich man's ecosystem. Now, this was in the 30s, maybe 1925 and all that. But this was the catalyst. And then he, along with others, then it was called the Justice Party, which was started by other people, not by this fellow, in the 20s, somewhere around then. When there were Nayars from Kerala, and there was some other, so I forget the names now, from Andhra and Karnataka, all part of the composite state and part of the Madras politics, legislative assembly, under which they could, whatever it was called in those British times, they wanted to challenge, they were jealous of the Brahmins. because the Brahmins held most of the judicial judges, lawyers in the senior councils, and the district collectors. Anywhere competition or professionalism was the criterion, the Brahmins were dominating. And as you know, as you said earlier, yes, that is because the Brahmins took to academics and did that. Like I told even my father, he did his MABL. So that is why I'm sure Kamaraj saw him. He might thought he might be a good person because he had nothing else. He didn't come from a rich family or in a vote bank, nothing, and he was a Brahmin. So from the 2% or 3% vote bank community. So now the only thing that you found, did you have a specific question at this point? I'm repeating some of the things I
Yeah,
said.
yeah. The point is that how the anti-Brahmanism, initiated or dominated the Tamil Nadu politics so long and so effectively, as we are discussing earlier, you said it is not in the public domain. I didn't know actually that now there are no member of parliament or member of I mean the assembly who are Brahmin in Tamil Nadu. Is it a fact, or I mean, or I got it wrong?
No, no, absolute fact. I'm not exaggerating at all. You can look it up. You see, in the last, as I said, in 1967 was when the Congress was lost power, and that was the time my father died too. And so since then, as I told you, in the Lok Sabha, there must have been 500, not 500, maybe at least 510 elections, 500 MPs elected, of which no more than two or three might have been Brahmins. I'm not even sure of that. When you talk about MLAs, 5,000 MLAs must have been elected during various elections in that time. There may be no more than 10 out of all that, if at best. And as of now, there is not a single MLA. There's not been an MP in a very long time either. And the only MP, I think, living memory that when I was in the college and all that, in JNU and all that, was some nominated Rajya Sabha MPs because MGR or Jayalalitha was the chief minister. So they nominated a Brahmin here or a Brahmin there. That is the extent of the political representation. As far as they did not represent any vote bank, so there was no reason for a political reason to pick up a Brahmin for anything for a constituency. In fact, there was everything against it. Now, it is not just politics. You talk about the only places where you find Brahmins are. I'm talking about, let's say 10, 15. My brother was in the IAS in Tamil Nadu. Okay, the only that is because they come through UPSC. So there are still what used to be 80% Brahmin maybe 50 years ago. Now there are still 20% Brahmins in the state IAS cadre and IPS cadre. You take the state public service commission. I'm guessing I don't have the list or anything. I don't think there will be a single, I mean, one TNPSC class one or police selected in the past 20, 30, 40 years. In the 50 years, if there have been, if they have selected 10,000 people for class one in the 50 years, maybe 10 of them would be from these categories, from as a Brahmin. Now, so everything is close to them. Who are what is the presence of the Brahmin community? Even now, and you can't get a seat in a medical college. Now, of course, there are private medical colleges. I'm talking about 10 to 20. I was supposed to study medicine. My stupid brother made me choose the pre-university, that biology group, with no idea that DMK had just come to power. Of course, I didn't stand a chance of getting a seat. I had decent marks. I was not brilliant, but I had decent marks. I didn't even trust me. This is relevant to the discussion. In 1971, my father died in 67. The DMK had been power for 4 years. I finished high school, SSLC as I used to call it, and I applied for college pre-university in probably 15, all the 15 colleges. Those days, every college you had to go and fill out. Not one sent me a interview card, not one. Why? Because I was a Brahmin. And even yeah.
So this, with so much of anti-Brahmanism as a core of so many things, maybe basically policy making and politics. So uh, what Mr. Dayanidhi Stalin, or the son of this Stalin fellow,
Udaynidhi, Udaynidhi, Udaynidhi.
Udayanidhi.
Yeah.
Udayanidhi wanted to destroy when they have basically kicked away all the Brahmins from the policy making apparatus in the last 50 or 60 years, as you are saying. So,
Good
what
question.
else they want to destroy? What else they want to destroy and how?
Good question. So it seems so. It's impossible to know what is he talking about. There are no Brahmins, right? That's what you're asking. It
Yeah,
is more or less. It is more or less like the Muslims saying that Islamic. What do you call? What do they call it? Islam anti-Islamic. What is the word? The phrase they use? Islamic
Islamophobia.
Islamophobia. That Islam. Everything Islamophobia.
Hmm.
You kill someone, they come to arrest you, Islamophobia. So that's the kind of thing. It is just a standard slogan which they use. What is it based on? What are the facts? Like Nupur. She just said something. I quoted something from Quran. She didn't say anything else. That is Islamophobia. And then when someone, the tailor, is killed in Jaipur, stabbed and killed,
In Udaipur.
Udaipur. Okay, so that is not what is that anyway? So it's kind of like that. There is no reason. There is absolutely no reason. It is nonsense. But then why do they do it? Because it sells. They stay in power by doing this. Why? Because, as I told you in the beginning, the Ramaswamy did this brilliant thing. I didn't know that he would. I don't know if he knew that it would be so successful and brilliant. He made it Brahmins versus everybody else. See, when he supposedly was insulted because he was asked to sit in the other room with the non-Brahmins, not with the Brahmins for lunch, it must have been probably, because the Brahmins. So it became a Brahmin thing. And taking it from there, it is the Brahmins. And you see what they did, if you take it literally, yes, Brahmins were in one room, everybody else was in the other room. Not in a forward caste in one room and backward and OBC. No, everybody else was a Brahmin. So he just took that lesson, if you can call it that, and translated into a political formula. So yeah.
So, I mean, basically in Tamil Nadu or maybe elsewhere, but definitely in Tamil Nadu, Brahmins have become Jew, if we have that kind of a corollary. So now coming to the current times, one question always, I had a training in Hindustan Motors Madras long back, and I also went there for some time. So, what was surprising is still for some people that comparatively in the five or six top, the industrialized states in Rajasthan, in India, Tamil Nadu is one of them because of the industry, because of the entrepreneurship, the enterprise, and infrastructure, education, and ancient culture. All those things